Hey, what is up guys? I've been spending a bit of time in Wing 8, the new raid, enjoying myself. I've done it twice now, and this is basically a review slash mini guide almost for the raid. Spoiler alert, I'm not the best player, so everything I say is subject to probably change and scrutiny. So if I've done anything or said anything wrong, comments below please, and have a bit of grace. But I think I've locked down what the per group strat will be. So if you've never stepped into the raid, or you've gone in a few times and your groups haven't really got it, or you're in a prog group, this is kind of just a general overall, this should get you there and the kill kind of video. So first of all, let's talk about the aesthetics of the raid. It's kind of an open, you can use your mounts, everything. So it reminds me more of a DRM, like a Dragon Response mission. And it's more like Wing 7, where you have two bosses that you can choose to start with, which is also really nice because maybe you're struggling with one, you pop over to the other, give it a go, and then come back to the other one. Now, on the left side, you've got Decima. Decima is an extremely heavy mechanical fight. You've got specialized roles, and almost like if there's like one hiccup, it's kind of a bit of a wipe, if it's like in a way. And then on the other side, you've got Greer. Greer's completely ground and pound, just fun times. I think more just any group that just wants chaos, that's that sort of a fight. And then kind of the final boss, I think it's Ura, whatever her name is, she's kind of a bit of a culmination of the two, where she's slightly mechanical, but it's not that heavily mechanical. As long as you respond quickly, you should be fine. Now let's talk about the final boss, Ura, whatever her name is. I went there once with the first group, but we kind of ran out of time. We had like a 2-hour window, so we basically did like 1-2 pulls, and they were like, "Oh, this fight's easy. It's easier than Decima, so you know we could maybe one pull it, but it kind of is slightly mechanical." So let's talk about those slight mechanics. I find this fight quite personal responsibility, like Decima. If you're not paying attention and you're not helping the team, not great. Like, you've got to be watching your positioning on this fight, and you've got to kind of help assist because there's a lot going on. Okay, let's talk about basic mechanics. We're going to try to tackle them one at a time. There's quite a lot, but not really that hectic. So first of all, you'll notice 2 bloodstone crystal shards or whatever lying at the front. Once you pick them both up, the fight stops. So that summons the boss. So make sure that, you know, one person picks them up just before the ready check pops. Don't want to start fight prematurely. And that doesn't mean anything other than they've got 2 special action keys. That helps you deal with mechanics, okay? So, things to note about this is, once you've basically picked up, I think when you pick up the shard, you take a small amount of damage, and if you basically, you build up like a debuff, right? So if you say drop the shard and you try pick it back up, you take like crazy loads of damage then, and it kind of builds up, I think, the longer you've had the debuff or something. Basically, the long and short of it is, if you've just dropped the bloodstone shard, you can't pick it up till your debuff's worn out, right? So someone else needs to do it, and that's also where that responsibility in the fight comes from. Some guys basically like don't want to pick it up because they want to just DPS, and then the guys that are playing support are like, we can't pick these freaking shards up because like we've got the debuff. So just be a PMA player. If you see it on the floor, just grab it, because basically I think the longer it's on the floor, the more like damage or dots or something the entire raid gets. I haven't seen that much of it because most of the groups I was in were pretty well with it. So basically, long and short, those 2 have to be picked up all the time, and new people have to keep picking them up till the debuff wears out. Then you can go grab it again. So let's talk about some more mechanics. First thing that you'll notice probably at the start of the fight is 2 people marked up with AoE markers. Those 2 players need to stack, and everyone needs to get out those AoE markers. Those 2 players, once that pops, they'll get bubbled up, okay? Anyone, I believe, that's inside, they also gets bubbled with them, so don't. Now, the way to deal with this mechanic is one of the people that has the shard should basically run in, drop it, and once using the special action key, the shard will be on the floor, and the 2 people come down. Now, they take ticking damage. I think if you go up enough, you just kind of go fall and go down state, or maybe you can glide or whatever. Now, I've basically only gone down state when someone stuffed up this mechanic. And obviously, if you're one of the players that just got bubbled out, grab the shard while you, like, as soon as you come down, so that, you know, you've got it, because that's pretty much one of the easiest ways to just deal with the shard. I mean, 2 people are falling down when you just grab it before you go back to DPS the boss. Now, basically, she has a couple of other attacks. Let's talk about the one. If you notice that you're getting these like rippled lines out from underneath you, you're going to spawn a geyser. There's 2 ways to deal with this. I've seen extreme groups, like the group that I was in, that basically said, let's drop it by the boss and kill it. Later on, we changed the tactic because we kind of got on the back foot a bit with dealing with all the mechanics. So what you can also do is just run the geyser out and drop it away from the group. And then just, get back in. That's kind of a bit of a better tactic. You basically want to just clear an area to fight, but you don't want to go crazy and start pumping all the geysers and everything because it just kind of gets a bit hardcore. That's where your virtuosos and stuff are really nice because your pierce in with your, dagger will passively just take out a couple of geysers as you're fighting the boss in general, right? Then you'll get another player who's marked with a solid ring around them, and this is the one that has to be taken out, okay? The geyser, debatable. I still think take the geyser out. This one basically spawns a massive wall of coral around you, and you get damaged if you and you get knocked back if you walk into it. I think there might be AoE damage inside, like a mild. I'm not actually sure on that. That's probably just me thumb-sucking stupidity out of it. But best just to take it out because it really cuts the area that you've got to work with in pieces. Then she spawns a special geyser. I'm not sure. I think it's around when she charges or jumps. There's some sort of indicator. I'm so sorry. I wish I was more with it. But there's a geyser called, I think it's a Titan geyser. And there'll be an enemy inside of it. And I think the enemy is elite. If you leave this up too long, the enemy becomes champion or spawns a champion or something. I never really saw too much of that because we just melted it. As soon as any of those were around, you just blitz it. Leave the boss and blitz that thing because you can't deal with it. It's kind of almost in my mind like the keep construct. Like if the two dudes merge, you just GG basically. But you can kill the champ obviously, but you don't want to get on the back foot in this fight. This fight is all about controlling the mechanics as they come up so that you can just carry on DPSing. Because if you start in a DPS geysers and this and that, and while this was all happening, you got guys dropping shards on things and all of that to try and deal with these mechanics, right? Now this is also the part where sorry for not having more knowledge, but I know you can drop the special action key, the crystal on certain geysers to help, I don't know, CC or DPS them, something like that. I probably should know more about that, but I heard some of the guys call in that out when we were in Discord and things like that. So just be aware of that. There is some sort of mechanic to that. And then in terms of the boss attacks, not really that hardcore. I mean, she does a double claw and then an AoE cone, which is easy to step out of. She's got a couple of AoEs you should just kind of watch, dodge, or whatever. The only attack that I think is quite prominent is she does a charge. Now, I know that basically it's after certain things, so we basically tried to bait her to open areas of the arena so that we didn't have to kill geysers, right? So just be aware of your positioning because you don't want to freaking have some random dude who gets charged at and he points her into 40 geysers and then you're going to have to go and clear all of that, right? Controlling the space and making sure that you've controlled where you're standing. I mean, if you're raiding, that's pretty much what most raids are, is basically personal positioning, right? Now when it comes to this fight, again, it's all about CC. Every 5%, she's got a freaking break bar. The amount of times I use my Moa Signet, Dommy Signet, I brought Dommy as a power DPS because I was just I don't even care. You just got to burn those CC bars. And, I mean, you get in that, then you get in the Titan spawn dude in the geyser who can be CC'd. There's so much CC in this fight. So bring just tons of CC. I mean, if you're a chrono, continuum split your Moa Signet, things like that. And you can just get crazy levels of CC in the fight in general. And yeah, I think as far as I understand, if you fail the CC, she spawns more geysers, things like that. So if you're not controlling the fight properly, you're going to get overwhelmed in this fight. It's not a hard fight, but it's a mechanical fight as well. Kind of like Decima, but maybe a notch easier, I would say. And that's it. I mean, if you could do all of that, you're getting a kill. So there we go. All three bosses in the wing, pretty easy. I don't think this is it is a tough raid. Let's put it this way. Out of all the raids, I think this, in base level, non-CM, I think it's definitely the toughest one. Maybe in time it might become easier. I don't know. Maybe ArenaNet are going to play with it. I know when they released it, there was some storm or flood. So there was so many bugs. There's a massive one with Grey where you couldn't reset it, which annoyed people. So I remember even on day one, I had 1 or 2 pulls and then you just kept getting bugs. We were just stuff it. Let's go to Decima. And so they might adjust and tinker with certain things. So this is kind of a bit of a surface level guide. And you've heard, I'm not even 100% sure of everything. And then let's talk about the actual aesthetics. First of all, for me, I'm on the edge. I don't like the fact that the Convergence and the Raid are the same area. I haven't actually played the new map yet. I know, spoiler alert. but it's probably going to be that same area. So I'm not like a huge fan of like them reusing the assets. I understand it, you know, I mean, it's there, might as well use it. I'm not like a huge fan of the aesthetic and the boss design. As bad as it sounds, I was a huge negative like voice for Secrets of the Obscure. I thought that, I mean, apart from like balance, the elite specialization thing, you know, the legendary armor, all the convenience things and the nice things like the astral vault, all of that, I didn't like the story. I didn't like the design of the characters. I kind of feel like that with this. Like, I just wish the bosses looked a bit cooler. I don't mind them, right? It's not like I was like, oh, you know, but it's just kind of like, just, I don't know, it doesn't really look appealing to me. The fights themselves I love. Like, I know people don't like Greer. I like it. I like the fact that like Decima is super mechanical and Greer's just super ground and pound, like simple, you know. I like the fact that the last boss isn't like ridiculously hard. There's nice mechanics and it's kind of a nice fight. I like the geyser and like all of the things. I like the play with the shards and the teamwork. I think that mechanically the raid's pretty fun. I know some people have differing opinions, but I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I think just for me, I just wish the bosses look cooler. Like I don't know. I just wish like they should have gone for something like, you know, Shadow of Mordor or Shadow of War, whatever it was, where like they turned Shelob into a hot like. You should have just done something like that, like where like you just take these bosses and even though like when you did the story they look like one way, they should have just like transformed them into something cooler looking, that like it was more like, I don't know, just cooler, like the thing you were fighting rather than just some like rock spider. So yeah, you're fighting 3 rock spiders, have fun. Anyway, I really hope this video helped. I've never made a video like this. I know talking about mechanics will probably get me flamed by all the elite dudes and whatever. I'm sorry, whatever, who cares. But if it helps you and helps your group get a kill and, you know, just seeing and talking about things that you haven't thought or seen before, I'm glad. Anyway, I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Cheers.